Hello, 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 and
So,
welcome back to Easy Monday Motivations with your boy E of Scotch with E and my man CT of Core Inclusive Living. What's up, CT? How you doing, my man?
hey, what's up, E? How you feeling? How you feeling, man?
I'm pretty good, man. I mean, a we're at a historic day that I think we're going to take some time to talk about. But like, we it's good. It's Monday. We done had the weekend. We done, we back to getting it in. And our motto every day
Hey,
is
Friday.
Friday.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, we treat every day with the utmost respect and love. So we're just
100%.
happy to be able to come and meet up with you fine folks on this wonderful Monday and give you some motivation. Let's go ahead and do our normal roundabout. Look, CT, how was your week, man? I'm checking in. It was good. How you been? I mean, I know last week you shooting in Cabo and like to come back and have to dull it down a little bit and just be in the regular old Ohio. I know that isn't as fun, but like, what's going on? How was the trip and what's going on with you, brother?
Listen, I ain't gonna lie. I wanted to change the hashtag to every day is combo. Like that show was amazing. Oh yeah, no. In real talk, we had an amazing time. 15 other couples. We don't traditionally travel that way, but it was really, really cool to see all the
Yeah.
love and the fellowship. We were at an all-inclusive show. The service was spectacular.
Oh, nice.
And like y'all maybe saw from the video last week, if you want to see what it looked like, go back to the beginning of last week's episode and check out the view that my wife and I had. It was absolutely spectacular. So I'm bringing that energy into today. I got to be, as they say, honest. Like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like I would rather be there
Yeah.
than here, but I'd rather be there talking to you on here if I really have my choice. So
All right.
yeah,
All
yeah.
right. All right.
So I'm
Okay.
good. How about
All
you,
right.
man?
I'm good, man. I had a great weekend. This weekend, I was not hindered from doing any of the things that I chose to do. As we know that Eric doesn't have many obstacles in his way, but I did get to have a lot of fun playing around. So my homeboy Rome the chef, as well as our engineer, technician, and technical guy Cam,
Shout out to
and
Cam.
his yeah, shout out to the homeboy Cam. They came through and we got to do some fun some fun cooking. So some stuff that we was prepping for our Wednesday show, the food talk which is the food cast. So we got to do that. And then Saturday I had a really fun time with a friend. She invited me out to the Bud Dairy low food hall. So I got to do a little walking around and checking out the stuff at the food dairy Bud Dairy food hall. And then it was really interesting because like she asked for me to critique a speech that she was working on. So I got to do that and give her feedback. That was really fun.
Cool.
When you got wonderful collegiate friends that want to hear your perspective, it makes you feel some type of way because I'm like, I'm a dummy sometimes. So, and I can respect the fact that you may not want my opinion, but when someone does, I give them like my whole attention and really, exercise all the brain power. So yeah, I did that.
Nah, nah. I'm disappointed.
Yeah, I know because I know where
Oh,
you're going, but let
me
me let
too.
me keep going. So Sunday, I
Yeah,
went to the movies. I went and saw Gran Turismo. It was a wonderful movie.
yeah.
I definitely recommend it.
Okay.
You may not be. It's not so much about the video game as much about the story of the actual young man who competed in a Nissan Gran Turismo competition and actually got to drive real cars and became a championship racer. So it
Okay.
was a wonderful story.
Okay.
That and Strays, which is about dogs, but it was off the chain. So yeah, ain't nothing hindered me from doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah, but you still ain't talked about what the people look for. Every time we get on here on Mondays, the
It was a
people want
tough.
to know.
It was a
People
tough
want to
week.
know.
It was a tough weekend for the tank. Okay, y'all. It was a tough weekend for the tank. Okay, so I made some modifications to the tank recently, right? And I added some more fish just to kind of try to see if I was at max capacity. And the other day I saw one of my fish on some flounder type stuff. He was just like really loosey goosey. Whenever they get like real lethargic, I'm like, dang man, I know this fish about to die. There's nothing I can do. Like I can't put him in another tank or anything. So I watched the fish, go through his paces, and then earlier today, he was floating, so I had to flush him, and so it was pretty sad. The tank
Yeah,
was sad this week because whenever I lose a fish baby, I get a little sad
yeah.
because I don't want that to happen. You know what I'm saying? I really want them to have full, healthy lives, and one of my babies didn't make it, so I'm really sad, but it's okay because I have now committed to a new idea. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get another tank, and I'm gonna move my more aggressive fish away and have a more docile tank and a more aggressive tank, and just separate the two, and hopefully that'll work out so I don't have any more wonderful, wonderful little surprises of dead fish in the morning.
Well, listen, I want to let you know that I'm sorry that you lost your fish, but it ties closely into today in our conversation and how we want to think about and have a conversation today about what loss feels like. And what 20 plus years ago, our
Yeah,
country experienced a significant loss on 9/11.
yeah, yeah.
And we want to take just a quick moment of silence to honor those that were lost during that day.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, everybody. Thank you, CT, for bringing that up because it's very important. Today is a historic day for our country. It's something that we have had some of us have had the privilege of actually living through it and not be something that we're being reminded of.
Mhm.
And the question I kind of want to ask when we think about 9/11 is, first and foremost, like, where were you when it happened? And how did you change once you knew what happened, and knew how did you change when you knew the more concrete details of what happened?
Yeah, I think everybody, whether you were in New York or like me, was in Columbus, Ohio, was at work. I got a text from my sister who said, "Hey, a plane just flew into a one of the buildings in New York." And I'm like, it didn't mean anything at the time, and she
Yeah.
thought, and what was being reported at the time was it was a small plane, right?
Hmm.
And then we came to find out there was a number of us. I was at a recruiting firm at the time. They pulled a TV into one of the conference rooms. They turned it on, and it became incredibly clear that what my sister had first learned was not what was really going on. And
Yeah.
I honor that organization. And once the first true acknowledgement of what happened with the first tower and what type of plane hit it, then the second plane hit. We all
Hmm.
sat there and watched it happen. I was in a room full of colleagues, and we were bewildered, like we didn't know what was going on.
Hmm.
Our leadership sent us home and said, "Hey, take the rest of the day." And I remember one of the things I do that is just cathartic for me is that when hard times are happening or things are going on, I clean. So I
Yeah.
remember going back. We were in the midst of trying to build a home. We were in an apartment with kids, which is a whole other conversation we might want to have. Um,
Hmm.
I cleaned and I watched the television and I'd listened to the accounting of what was going on, and then the towers fell, and it was just such a devastating day. And I think the thing that changed me was it wasn't that I didn't honor and acknowledge that life was important, but it really did cause you, when my wife got home, when our kids got home, it caused you to want to hug them a little bit tighter, make
Hmm.
sure that you knew that they knew you loved them, um,
Hmm.
because you recognized that the world had changed in that moment,
Yeah.
and everything that we would do from that point on needed to be different, because we, at least in my lifetime, and many of my friends and colleagues, had never experienced anything like that here. And
Yeah.
so personal, and having joined a firm who had lots of individuals who are in the New York area who experience very real loss, it becomes even closer when you know someone or you experience someone who was there. So
Yeah.
it changed us all.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I myself, when it took place, I was working at a elementary school as an instructional assistant. So I was giving back to my community, and the news flashed across the screen, and Like literally the school kind of like went silent. And like all the adults, of course, were like stunned. And
Yeah.
the kids didn't really understand what's going on. But what they saw was America on fire.
Yeah.
That's what they saw and that's what they felt. And that unease of security like transferred to everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time in my life that I was able to connect with anybody on something at a complete level.
Yeah.
Whoa, that just happened. This is scary. And here's why. And the whys were so um like so specific, but yet so general because
Mm.
we've never had these problems. You know, it's not something we faced in our lifetime where we're watching like, yes, we've had terrorist attack. Yes, we've had bad things happen, but like in this manner,
Yeah.
like, no, no. So I definitely agree. It changed me. It changed my concept of our need for security, why it's important for us to have boots on the ground in different locations, our presence to be felt, how a military power can be too big at the same time. You know what I mean? Like there was a lot of thoughts that came with that, but then the biggest thing that I saw that came out of it was we actually as a country came together for a little bit, like for a little bit. I mean, I would even say a few days.
Yeah.
We was just America.
Yeah.
Was that not trippy? Like for like we put everything down for a few days and we was just America.
Isn't it funny what's possible in the midst of like real trauma,
Yeah.
trials, trouble, struggle? Like that was as hard as it can get. And you're 100% correct. There wasn't any difference. It was that we were Americans and we had all experienced something. There was no like in the world we play in, there was no DEI conversation at that time.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah.
just about we were humans and we needed to come together. There wasn't the hashtag better together back then, but sure enough was the catalyst that helped, I think, lift some of that conversation. So to me, when people tell me what's not possible, I think, you know what? It is. I just hope we get there without there having to be trauma connected to
Trauma.
it. I'm just
Right.
saying. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
so if that wasn't the greatest trauma bond that you've ever experienced, then you don't know what trauma bond is outside of the fact that we lived through a pandemic. But yes,
There's
like
that.
9/11 to me was one of the most pivotal times in our history
Yeah,
because it actually made war real for Americans who have been removed from it from a long time.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
So with that, and I know like 9/11 tragedy, but I have a question. My question is, can loss be a motivator? Now
Mm.
I'm gonna say it again.
Mhm.
Can loss be a motivator?
Mhm.
And I know that there's some terrible examples of losses where it can motivate you in terrible ways to motivate you to do terrible things. Like we'll stay away from those as much as we want to find intrinsic motivations that come out of loss, right?
Right.
Um, but first I want to play around with the concept and I want to throw this to you, CT, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. And then we're gonna go into how you can be motivated by loss.
Okay.
It is thought that the pain of losing is psychologically about twice as powerful as the pleasure of gaining.
Hmm.
People are more willing to take risk or behave dishonestly to avoid loss than to make gain.
Mhm.
So it's see with that, it's I think it's safe to say that loss impacts us greater
Mm.
than gain.
Mhm.
If you're following me, right?
I'm following you. I'm following you.
So okay, so
But so
go
let
ahead.
me play with that, right? So the idea would suggest that the thing
Mhm.
that I lost
Mhm.
I had some connection to it.
Mhm.
Like if I lost your pen, I would have no feelings about it. But you losing your fish, I can feel for you, but I won't feel the same way you feel. So sometimes when we are attached to a thing
Mhm.
that we've created value in,
Mhm.
when it's no longer there, we feel it different.
Yeah.
And when we feel that thing different, it is much harder because it's possible, and maybe I'm getting ahead of us, it's
Mm.
possible that there was a necessity for me to lose something so I could gain something else.
That is true.
I don't want to go too fast because I want
N
us to make sure I stay in the lane around this concept of loss. And so
Yes.
to the extent that I do believe that oftentimes loss hurts more because we place some form of value on it, whether it is money, whether it is a relationship, whether it is something that if my house caught on fire and I lost my home, albeit all of the things that can be replaced because I have insurance, there are some things that I'm connected to that I personally have an attachment to that if I lost it, I'd feel
Mhm.
some kind of way about
Right.
it. And even if somebody replaced it with something similar, it's not what it was from its original design. So for me, I think when I think of loss, loss can be um motivating, but in this instance, it doesn't feel good
Yeah.
when I lose something, especially if I've created a value around it.
Yeah, okay. No, and I can agree with that. I definitely agree that we do place value on things which inherently would impact us more if we lost at things
Mhm.
versus things that we have now gained and in some instances take for granted until we have lost them and then
Yeah.
now they have additional value. So yeah, I can get with you on that. So let's take it further, right?
Uh-huh.
Let's go ahead and step into today's topic, which is can loss be a motivator?
Yeah.
In my own experience, I have found motivation in loss.
Mm.
So when this past June, when I lost my father, right, it motivated me to think more about my family in ways that I wasn't. It made it very clear to me that relationships, of course, have different values, and that it was on me to foster those relationships and develop them and keep them healthy and whole. Um, if that's what I wanted. And it
Right.
wasn't about anything other than me wanting something. So experiencing what I saw my father have to go through made me know, like, I don't want that. I don't want that for me. I don't want that for anybody else. So I feel like it lit a fire in me to get more in touch with my siblings and take down some of the guards and barriers that I had up to be more open and transparent about some of the issues that I may have had.
Yeah.
But be inviting as well to let them in. So I see that. And then I would even say that, I've I am a single man. So I have gone through the rigors of gaining and winning in love, right?
Uh-huh.
And there has been times that I have lost in love, and it was the greatest motivator to be a better man, right? Like listen, I'm about to go out here and go do some things, okay? You done put some fire on my pyre and I'm about to go higher. And that's kind of like how that works. So I wanna ask you, CT, about a time that you may have experienced some sort of loss
Yeah.
and you were motivated out
Yeah.
of it.
Listen, I find that one of the very best things that one can do as an exercise that is healthy is to give yourself permission to lose things or to somebody help you lose a thing. So I had this really amazing opportunity back several years ago to have lost my job.
Mm.
And what it provided was this amazing opportunity to yeah, the secrets of my life, right? To teach a hip hop fitness class,
Yeah.
right? And I taught 6 classes a week. We had a 5:45 in the AM class called the Breakfast Club. We had a 12 o'clock class, which was Tuesdays, was Turn Up Tuesdays.
Mhm.
Like, we got it in. And if I had not lost that opportunity, it would have limited my ability to do what I think was one of the more critical transitions in my life and my career was to have the opportunity to instruct that class and to motivate others through exercise, and it motivated me. So to the extent that I lost that job, which gave me an opportunity to gain some new experiences, man, listen, I wouldn't trade that loss for the world.
No, you know what? I'm with you. I'm with you. And this goes to some conversations I know we've had before where it's like, hey, you know what? If your cup is full, can't nobody else pour into it.
Right.
If your feet is stuck in the ground, can't nobody move you. You know, like if you won't open your eyes, can't nobody show you the way.
That's
So yes, I definitely agree that there are times where we have to have certain experiences of loss in order to better appreciate the things that we've gained because of those losses.
yeah.
And then knowing that it wasn't truly a loss, it was something that needed to be removed so you could gain. And I think sometimes, me personally, that when you look at when there are a lot of people who, to your point, you said this earlier, there's a lot of people who more focus on what they lost rather than the fact that there's now opportunity for you to gain things, right? So if
Yeah.
my plate is 100% full and I done went to the buffet line and stacked every single thing on there, I have no more space.
Yeah.
There's a brand new dish sitting right over here that I really want to add to my plate, but I can't because my plate is full. But you know what though? If I lost a couple of these things on this plate, I'd have an opportunity to be able to add something else.
Mhm.
And I think people struggle with that. So CT, let me ask you, why do you think people treat loss in a negative way? I mean, I know we touched on the value that we place in things, but
Yeah.
like it's I hear that silver lining statement, or there's a good side to something. Why don't we understand inherently that there are benefits to loss?
Well, if I can answer it this way, and I do believe it was maybe 2 episodes back, but we introduced into our conversation
Go ahead, hit me with one.
neighborhood no button. And sometimes the loss comes because we don't know how to say no.
Right.
Right. And so it becomes demotivating because something might come along that we really do want to do. We really want to add to our plate. But if our plate is full, if we're not willing to lose something on the plate,
Mm-hmm.
because we gave ourselves permission to say no, then it can be demotivating for us.
Yeah.
And so some of the benefit of losing something is your ability to recognize that losing something is your choice.
Yeah.
It isn't
Yes.
always something happening to you. It's
Yeah.
something that you're choosing for you. And if you're
Yes.
giving yourself permission to choose something for you because you've learned how to say no, you've now cleared space so that you can gain something else.
I love it. I love that. No, you really just struck on a chord that I really want us to be able to kind of like expand on more. I know we'll probably bring this topic up again, but
Yeah.
like while we at it, I just want to know, like, your thoughts is perfect. You already know. Me and you can go on this all day, but I
Oh,
want to know, what would grandma do?
so y'all, if you've watched the episodes, you recognize that this is one of our favorite times in this conversation, where as we get to the end, my grandmother, who is a beautiful and amazing 97 years young, used to,
97.
whenever she would send things to us, create acronyms. And so our acronym today, in the context of our conversation, is around the word loss. So if you want to think about loss as a motivator for you, grandma might say that L is whenever you experience a loss, you've got to make sure that you are learning from it. And
Mm,
sometimes we learn most from it when we give ourselves permission to feel it. When we don't
mhm,
ignore it, we don't push it back to the back files of our mind. When we don't say, I'm not going to deal with it. When you confront it, you give yourself permission to learn from it. Then you can, observe how you are responding to it. Our actions matter. The stories
mhm.
we tell ourselves are critical to help us get to a place where, if the lesson that we learned, are we going to repeat that thing? Or is the lesson that we learned because we've observed it in the right way and our actions then changed? Sometimes we've got to know that if I'm going to do that, I know I can't do that by myself. That was good English right there. And,
Mm-hmm.
and not doing it by myself now introduces that first S in loss, and that is we've got to know that we've got to get support from others. It is true we are better together. And
Yeah.
sometimes when we're dealing with loss, especially when it hurts or we've created a value or ownership around it, while I'm learning about that thing and I'm giving myself permission to feel that thing and I'm observing what I'm going through in that thing, I got to bring somebody around me to support me. And when I've got somebody around me to support me, you know what happens? You find that last est, and that's the strength to continue, the strength to know that in time, things are going to be okay. I think there was a song that said everything's gonna be all
Everything
right.
gonna be all right.
Went on to say let the music take control, but that's not what this message is about. But to the extent I would say that when we're dealing with how you motivate yourself through loss, you've got to make sure that you're learning the lessons and you're feeling the things that are going on and you're observing in your mind what it is that I'm doing and what are the actions that are aligned and connected to it. And I got to know sometimes I'm gonna need some support. I'm gonna need you to
That's
be
right.
with me through it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're with me through it, I find a special kind of strength. And when I find that strength in there, when I'm dealing with loss, I now can find that there's now something that I've gained. And the gain that I'm finding motivates me because I know I can keep on moving.
Okay.
Thank you, Grandma.
You know what? Grandma laid it out again. Let's go. Hold up. Let me go ahead and see if I can do it. Let's go.
Thank you, Grandma. Appreciate you.
Gotta give grandma some love. Thank you, CT. That was beautiful. So our word was loss, and the L was to learn from it. And the thing that I really liked that you added to learn from it was to actually feel it,
Yep.
like take it in, right? Like there's a lot of times that people will learn something, but they learn it on the shallow aspect to where they don't really embed it into them so that it becomes a part of them, right? Like it's just like, yeah, I learned it, but like you didn't retain it. So because you felt it, you actually can connect with it more deeply, which takes us to that O, which allows for you to truly be accountable and observe your actions.
Yeah.
The things that you're doing that are impacting the situations that you're in, and being objective in looking at yourself and holding yourself accountable, and that's what you are learning from, right? You know, you're learning from holding yourself accountable and looking at your actions. And then that takes us to the fact that now that you know your actions, now that you know that there's something you need to learn from, you got to go to somebody else to rattle that off, right? So
Yeah.
you go get that support. So
That's right.
like there's times that I come to you and I'm thinking about something, and I bounce it off of you, and you like, oh yes, just give me that feedback. So now not only did I learn from it, not only did I see that I learned from it, and I'm able to develop new actions based on it. Now I got that support from you that validates and
Yeah.
solidifies my understanding, right? And
Yeah.
then that takes me to, now that I've validated it, and now that I have a true understanding, I can feel strong, or I can be, I can exude my strength to
Mm.
know in time everything is going to be all right.
Be
Because
all
I'm, you know what, man, look, listen, you be coming up with some stuff over there, man. I'm gonna have to come get you, man. You over here, you over there coming up with these literary things. I'm gonna need another grandma. I love my grandma who passed grandma, but I'm gonna need a grandma that do acronyms. I'm gonna find me a grandma that's gonna have me some stuff. She's gonna be sending me like little notes or kites. She's gonna be little birds like landing in on the mic and be like taking them off of their legs. Like grandma done said, cuckoo.
Oh
That's
no, be sharing. There's a good cousin group. They might not be excited about sharing her. I don't know. I don't know.
all right. So I want to take us into our final thoughts. I truly appreciate that. So CT, let me go ahead and get your final thoughts for this Easy Monday motivation on this 9/11 Memorial Day, as well as I just want to go ahead and throw out there, today is National Remember the Library Day. Guys, if you haven't been to a library in a long time, make sure you go. The importance of books and research and accessibility is one of the key things. Accessibility to education and materials and resources is very vital for people. So let's not forget how important libraries are. So Chris, I'm gonna go ahead and turn over to you for your final thoughts.
Yeah, last thought, man. Here's the idea, right? Everybody is going to experience loss at some point in time in their lives. I think the idea here is that you've got to embrace it. It's going to happen, just like change. Like it happens every single day. And when it happens, make sure you're learning from it, paying attention to what's happening inside of you, and knowing that at the end of the day, you're gonna be all right.
That's
Right.
right.
Especially if you surround yourself with positive, motivational people like you and I do with each other. At the
Mhm.
end of the day, even the hardest things that you go through, the loss of your father, right? You're going to experience some things that will pull you down, but make sure you have folks that are around you that can help pull you back up too.
Yeah. No, it's very powerful, very powerful. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop my final thoughts. My final thoughts, of course. I mean, I can only allow myself to kind of like double down on what you said. Like you're dead. You're spot on. You know, you have to learn how to deal with loss, face it, get help. You know, and get support, the help that you need. Also, you know, the other thing that I like to just call out is that you know you can grow from everything you go through.
That's right.
So every bit of rain that drops on the ground feeds a seed, and then that seed turns into grass. That grass may feed something else, and you know it all has a purpose. And as long as you're working towards your purpose and being strong and resilient in it, like experiencing losses may hurt you, but they won't hinder you from getting where you're supposed to go.
That's
And
right.
those people who and those things that you lose, sometimes you're meant to lose them because they were things that would not allow for you to grow because you believed in them, or they were a crutch. You know, that you believed in them too much or you leaned on them too much. They were a crutch. So with that said, you already know it's Easy Monday Motivation. Your boy ECT every Monday, 8 o'clock. Make sure you tune in. Be on the lookout for the Comfy Couch coming out on Tuesday. Wednesday, we got our food talking food cast with me and Chef Rome. Thursdays, you got Just Clowner with C Mello and Malk the Mailman. On Sundays, you got the podcast about nothing because we really don't be talking about nothing. I'm just saying. So yeah, you know, be on the lookout for all the work that we got coming in. And thank you so much for your support. Please like, share, comment. Where you can find us on YouTube, you can find us on Twitch, you can find us on Facebook. And with that, just chill until the next episode.
Ah, peace. Have a good
Have
one.
a good one, guys.